Okay, so we're going to start the discussion off with a question as far as technology and communicating with humans. Are we just this is from the technology's point of view? Are we just projecting the voice, or does it actually have it? Does technology actually have a voice, or is there something behind the intelligence? So is it just like you said, a mathematical formula is A B equals C, or is it um, actual thoughts behind it? So is it real emotion that's coming out from her answers?
Yeah.
So my opinion is based off of the readings and things that we've gone through, and I'm kind of jumping mostly from the systems theory argument, or the flaws in the systems theory argument in nature. Is I think there are too many variables in humanity to truly quantify it in a computer sense. So while artificial intelligence can mimic it in many ways, you might even be able to convince somebody that a robot is a person. I think, end of the day, certain emotions, certain qualities that humans have are not quantifiable.
Mm-hmm.
How do you quantify greed or jealousy or love or selfishness or things like that? All the same reasons why the hippie communes failed when they tried their version of getting rid of the social hierarchy. How do you quantify that to a machine? Because it's not like somebody is just, well, if you're greedy, well then boom, you're greedy. It's a yes or no question. You're greedy in everything. Some people may be very greedy in certain aspects of their life, or selfish in certain aspects of their life, and not others. Going back to the second question, like what I said about if I don't think I could live in a society without any hierarchy, because I'm going to look after my family over somebody else's. Can you really mathematically formulate that and put that into a computer? And in that way, I don't think you can. So I think that is how human intelligence is different from artificial intelligence, and how the communication would change. Because for me, I mean, I just feel like at this point, machines are still binary. It's either yes or no. Like the whole code is written in zeros and ones. There's no 0.5. There's no differentiations of you either are or you aren't. I don't think you can do that. And you can sit there and try to put in like, well, if you're only selfish with your family, well, then you get a 1 on this score.
Right.
I don't think you can do that.
Either way, how will we measure that?
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, well, that was just some other stuff, but
I mean, like there's flaws in the IQ points. Like there are people who have incredibly high IQs, but their social skills are terrible, or like they may be able to do math like a whiz, but they can't do biology. Like just like there are people who are way more intelligent than me, but I'm going to come across as smarter than them because of the experiences I've had or something else, or the way I present myself.
Right.
And other people who are significantly dumber than me are going to do much better in school than I will, because they may put more effort in, they may care more. How do you quantify caring?
Right.
You might be able to quantify effort, maybe like hours put in per week, but how do you quantify caring?
Experience for one, but as far as like a robot, I don't know that, because that's weird. Like they don't have the code to have emotions, but if they're constantly going through something, they might grow it, they might gain it. Like Ava, for example, she was learning as she was going, and she started connecting to. She started connecting to I don't know his name. I think his name was Nathan. She started connecting to Nathan more because she was spending a lot of time with him. So,
but did she really connect? Because she bolted without batting an eye, leaving that dude locked in a room that it seemed like to me no one was coming for him. Like that was pure. Robot wanted something through its little mathematical formula and manipulated the social context.
But like you said, it's a robot.
Yeah.
So how did the robot know to leave him, and that she was going to be in a whole different world if she didn't have some type of human intelligence?
Well, didn't the guy programmed her
to leave him?
Well, they programmed the idea of seduction, the idea of things like that.
But escaping, I think she learned that on her own. Like at a time, she wanted to get out. She was using Nathan to get him to understand how she was feeling, but she already had her own thoughts.
But is self-interest the same thing as emotions and connecting?
In a way, yeah.
Like
self-interest, like you want to be happy. So happy is an emotion.
But did she want to be happy?
She wanted to be free. She definitely was sick of standing in those walls.
I agree with that.
Yeah. I can
Interesting
see that point.
Yeah.
She definitely wanted to be free, but does she know what free is?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And if she does, how does she, being a robot, how does she know what being free is? What does it mean?
She's seen Nathan go, and does she know the definition of it? Because she's seen Nathan being able to come in and out, do what he wanted. She had to stay in this specific area, but does she know? She never experienced being free, so how does she know what it is?
Right.
True.
And then for my opinion, I just basically feel like a machine, to go to the question where it asks about human communication and artificial intelligence. My opinion is that a machine will always fail to completely replace a human being in many instances for sure. As long as artificial intelligence has not evolved to a point of developing machines which can interact, engage, think, adapt, and so forth, it's not possible for such intelligent machines to completely replace human resources, I believe. I think that they can certainly help a great deal in automating the process while boosting efficiency. However, it's imperative to the state that it is human finesse that controls operations and directions that use of such technology, such as human input, interaction, judgment. It can't be replaced by the capabilities of an artificial intelligence machine.
Like you said, it can't be replaced,
right?
But it does help us. It's a stepping stool.
Yeah, I can say that. Yeah, for sure. But it's not it wouldn't how am I gonna say this? In such major roles such as businesses, feelings and emotions and moods and teachings and stuff like that we discussed. When it comes to performing those tasks, I would say robots would fail to provide the flexibility and creativity to find a solution. That is a major limitation to the application of artificial intelligence.
But then who decides what the solution is? Because that's where we come back to the systems theory. There's so many different views and so many people who want to be leaders that there's no right way or no wrong way to say what is correct and what is incorrect.
You would have to somehow universally satisfy every single person's needs, wants, desires. And the only way you're going to do that is by taking away somebody else's desires, needs, wants, things like that. I don't see how it's possible.
Yeah, and you got to think humankind, which are actually the creators of the machines, they're always going to be in charge of directing, operating, and using the technology. So it's the human interaction and the human input will never be made obsolete because of machines. Maybe I could see for example, in the workplace, how we talked about, with doctors and surgeons, how they're going to have, robots soon, operating on people. It's kind of
they already
do. I mean, yeah, but you got to think, you're saying, they already do, so is it just the robot that's going to be in there, or is it going to be a blend of the, human and, the computer workforce?
I mean, from my understanding, the computer isn't really diagnosing you as much. The doctor is still instructing the robot on what to do. It's just doing it with a much steadier hand. That's my understanding. I'm also not a robot surgeon, so
that's with the Uber drivers. Then you didn't say nothing. You want to say something?
Oh yeah, I have my point, but
that's with the Uber drivers. The new Ubers, how they're driving themselves, but there's still somebody in there, right?
Yeah.
For now.
For now, yeah.
I think it's a whole trust thing. If the patient knew that a robot was working on them, they wouldn't be with it. But if they don't know, then they don't know.
I mean, to be honest, if I knew that a robot was working on me, and honestly, if I knew a robot was working on me and I knew it's successfully done it before, depending on what it was, I'd trust a robot more than I trust a human.
Really?
You think so?
Especially for something like a brain surgery.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
there's so much more.
You twitch like this, and you just made that person paralyzed.
Yeah.
I want a robot that doesn't have the ability to twitch.
But what if the
where,
robot
But
loses
you gotta
battery?
Yeah,
I hope it's
how
plugged
is
in.
how is this robot operating?
I got you. I agree.
It can be anything, any small thing on both parties.
Shit, what if your doctor has a
I mean, do you
heart
fly in
attack?
airplanes?
Yeah.
Airplanes in reality fly themselves. Pilots have to do
That
very,
is
very
true.
little
Take off.
nowadays.
That is very true.
Even the takeoff and the landing, they can do that in a massive storm without seeing anything. have by completely relying on their computers.
That is very true. 'Cause
Amazon's
brands-
coming out with
yeah.
something to open your front door. They call it the Amazon key, where you don't even have a key anymore. It's just like a swipe.
I've
That just
seen
immediately
that.
you can hack into someone's front door now. But you know.
Right,
Yeah, that'll
but-
make it easier, I think.
Mhm.
Honestly, because all it is overriding the system versus the key, where if you have that deadbolt on, you're not getting in.
Mhm.
Unless somebody picks it.
Yeah.
So
Right.
But for me, I think the biggest part of realizing the difference is pretty much looking at the ways of knowing. For example, artificial intelligence is based solely on like reason or logic, numbers, and what is concrete, basically. Versus human communication, which is unpredictable because of the way we know things. For example, one of the ways we know things is faith.
Yeah.
Did you take
Mhm.
theory of knowledge?
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much, you could have a limitless amount of knowledge or facts to point towards one thing, but your faith will tell you that it's right. For example,
Mhm.
we have this dilemma versus science versus religion. You know what I mean?
Right.
But even though science may say one thing, you can't tell a believer or
Mhm.
whichever term you may want to use that there isn't a God, or what
Right.
I'm saying, the creation of the world. And also human communication, I feel like, is a lot different than artificial intelligence because the interpretation between the communication, for example, like human communication is driven by conversation throughout,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, two distinctive,
And emotions too.
yeah,
Like when you're
two
communicating
completely
with
distinctive
people.
beings, you know what I mean, versus artificial intelligence. It's a machine where you input numbers, you know what I mean?
Right.
And its sole purpose is to respond.
Yeah.
It puts
Instead
that
of-
input in.
Input. Yeah.
Versus humans, I wouldn't say we're necessarily creative because it depends on your idea, but we react or act
Mhm.
versus react and act versus completely reacting to a being. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
So-
Definitely makes sense.
Communication and conversation drives the communication versus machines, where it's completely its purpose is designated.
Mhm. Yeah.
So would y'all say there's a? What you say?
Good. No.
So would y'all say there's a difference between human communication and technological communication?
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Anytime.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess computers can misunderstand each other if, like, they're on different programs or whatever. But, like, I mean, you're not going to have... Computers are almost too efficient at times. Sometimes it is the miscommunications that make an interaction worthwhile.
Mhm.
You know, like, whether you're talking about just, like, stumbling over a word and laughing about it, which has created, like, a funny little bond between somebody, or, like, inside
Right.
jokes. Like, you're not going to get any of that with a computer.
With the computer.
A computer is going to be
yeah.
a purely binary, like we said, purely driven by nothing but logic and not, like, there's a certain point where, in my opinion at least, a little bit of self-interest is a good thing.
Mhm.
And with computers, I mean, it's too structured and too absolute for what humans are. We are not absolute anything.
Right.
No one is good or evil. Everybody's got some of both. With computers, like, you're either an evil robot or you're not.
Right.
Like, I don't, like, and really, in reality, there's no even evil or not. It's how are you programmed? You do that.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah.
See, for me, on a technical side, there's pros and cons. Like communication for technology and communication for humans, they're both educational. So you learn from being on the computer. You learn how to research the different sources where you can get information than human communication. As far as at school, you learn education, history, math. So there are pros to it, positives and then the negatives. Technology takes us away from that interaction with each other.
Right.
So it's like a barrier. If we're shy, we can use it as a way to still be shy in person, but online is a whole different completely process.
Mhm.
You look at Twitter, people get abused all over Twitter because they're hiding
Right.
behind their Twitter handles of technology. You know? Like
Yeah.
you would never say those things in person.
Very true.
And like I was reading an article about I think it was an actor ran into somebody like at a mall or something or at a restaurant that had been like abusing them online. And in person, like that person like apologized, was like, "I'm so sorry." Like it never really occurred to me that you were like this real person reading these things. I was just venting my own, vile hatred and BS. You know, that is part of like because they met, that stopped. You know, with that individual person, there's still 10,000 other people doing it, I'm sure.
Yeah, of course.
But like I think that is a vital part of human communication is the face to face.
Just communicating. It's totally different versus like when you're on social media, like, and you're just talking to somebody, like, like through like Twitter, Facebook, whatever the case may be, versus like when you actually meet them, it's different because there's like emotions going through your head, different types of feelings, versus when you're behind a screen, it's not so many emotions and feelings, you know what I mean?
If
So
I'm going to lie to you, I'm going to have tells that tell you I'm lying to you.
Yeah.
When on a computer, I can be sitting and be like, how do I want to respond to this?
Right.
Which, at times can be helpful. Like, if I'm mad, well, then I can take a step back and calm down. But, otherwise, it can sometimes be a problem, too.
Definitely.
It's almost like they're being a person all over again.
Yeah,
you're a different person. Yeah.
Definitely a different person.
Definitely.
Like, you don't talk the same, act the same, none of that.
I was taught in driver's ed that people are very different behind the wheel than they are outside of driving a car. Like I'm not a very angry person in general. I get behind the wheel of a car, and you cut me off. I want to tell you. Like I'm not crazy. I'm not like chasing you down or anything. Like I'm not nuts. But like I am much more like, hey, you suck. Like I'm judging your whole character. But in person, if you accidentally shut a door in my face, I'm not like, hey, you're the worst. Like, how would you think that? Like it's not a big deal. So like when you get behind technology, your whole person changes.
Right.
So.
That's true. Very true.
Anybody got any other points?
No, I guess the last thing I can really say is artificial intelligence. They always seek some type of confirmation through logic or reason. Some humans, we're intuitive. You know what I mean? We don't need a explanation for every action or everything that we say or do.
Yeah, I agree.
So basically, we're saying that human communication is everything as far as the positives and negatives when it comes to technology, how people interact with themselves and then the world around them, because it's more than just what goes on between this conversation. It's what's happening on this campus and then what's happening in this city and then the United States. That's just one aspect of it. So it's more than just what the person or persons are going through. It's a larger area of communication. Anybody else want to say anything about communication?
Do we want to stop and do a conclusion?
I thought that was a conclusion.
So I guess I would basically say, like, in conclusion, like for me, with just like going through with, like the digital detox and also like going through like with this prompt as well, I would say overall that I've became, I've learned like, I would say like a bunch of different things as far as like, like the effects that social media has, like, on me, the way that I think, the way that I communicate with people, as well as like, even like with classes and like just reading like different books and stuff like that, I'm able to just like obtain more knowledge and even be more like focused in class. Like I'm able to like ask questions, really pay attention and understand what's going on in the class versus before. Like I was so focused like on social media, when I'm in class looking at my phone like every 10 minutes because my notifications were going off. So now it's like I don't have to worry about that anymore. Like in a sense, for me, I would say.
That's it. Yeah, that was awkward. I'm glad we didn't do the first conclusion.
How much time